So for our first chapter, chapter 1, we're going to look at what are some situations that can make us feel trapped or imprisoned. And we're going to dive into those pieces that we know and some pieces that we really haven't thought of.
So the topic for today in this webinar is how do you help when somebody is feeling trapped or imprisoned? And I don't know whether everybody saw the preview, but we're going to take it from both sides. So the first side is, please, I don't know why people put me in here. I can't stay here. I need to get out of here. This isn't my house, and they put me in here, and I don't even know how I got here. So that's one perspective. And here's the other one. I understand no one else shows up. I have been here all day. I mean, all day long. And no one who said they were coming came. I can't take this anymore. She's driving me nuts. So in that case, I'm actually maybe the care provider and I've reached my limit and I feel trapped. And then we might have it one more way, which is, I didn't sign up for this. I mean, quite honestly, I thought what I would be doing is helping somebody like get started. I did not plan to be the healthcare power of attorney for her. There just isn't anybody. I mean, and I don't even know what I'm doing half the time. And, I don't know her all that well. I mean, she was my aunt. She lived in another state. I mean, I just thought I would manage the finances and stuff because there's nobody. But I don't want to be making decisions about, whether or not, I never planned on this.
We got a chance to see how there are many different situations that can cause somebody to feel trapped or imprisoned. And one way that we didn't even think of, which is this care partner role. Whether it's somebody who's caring for this person living with brain change in a facility, or it's somebody who is a family member who's at home with them all day and isn't getting support to be able to take a break, or even somebody who lives far away, maybe is the only living relative and now has the task of making decisions for this loved one, and they never really wanted to do that. So recognizing there are many different ways somebody can feel trapped and imprisoned, and realizing that sometimes we only really see one thing, and we really need to be aware of all of those pieces so we can be prepared to start helping that person or giving them that support. We're going to go into this next chapter, and we're actually going to look at how human beings can react when they're feeling trapped and imprisoned. So when you are feeling trapped and imprisoned, what would you do to get out of it? How far are you willing to go? And if you realize that you're no longer able to really get out of it, where would you go from there? So we'll dive a little bit deeper into this next chapter. Chapter 2, what are some different ways human beings can react when they are feeling trapped or imprisoned? So we're going to look at how somebody could be looking for that way out, but maybe suddenly be okay with the situation, especially if they meet others like them in that moment, or are willing to do what it takes to get out, even if it means to go through somebody, to feeling like since there's no way out, they're just going to give up, or making themselves so toxic that whoever's around them is going to want to get them out of that situation or away from that.
So I'll pause there and I'll ask you guys to think for just a second, any of you on here, what happens do you think the human being who's feeling trapped or imprisoned in a relationship, in a role, in the responsibilities they have, or in a setting, in a place, in a situation, what do you think happens to human beings when they feel trapped? Talk a little bit about what you think happens to human beings when that happens. Best guess for yourself or somebody else, if you've ever been trapped.
Always looking for an exit.
So you're looking for a way out. Do you keep that up, Corey, even though you've explored all the exits and there aren't any? Would you keep looking anyway?
Yes, because I tend to think that I'm smarter than a lot of people.
Okay, so the first time around, you might do a cursory look around to see if there's a way out. But then, so do you think you'd be calling on people to help you, or are you going to use your own skill sets?
I would use my own skill sets because I don't like to ask for help.
Okay.
And I always, sort of think, well, surely there's a weakness in this that I can find. They couldn't have possibly locked everything.
Okay, so you're pretty committed. So your pathway would be to be more isolated, less communicative, really focused on trying to get out.
Yes.
Would you listen if somebody told you that there is no way out and that why don't you come and do something else? How would that work for you?
Oh yeah, no, that not when I'm fixated on something.
Mm-hmm.
So
if you're pretty sure you think,
I would think that they're just trying to distract me and keep me calm, and I can still be calm, but I'm still looking for that weakness.
So even if you go with them, you're still not thinking you're gonna always be looking for that moment, that weakness, that opportunity.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have sort of a different take on what you would do if you were feeling trapped? Mary, what you gonna do?
My amygdala would be going pretty high. Just the word trapped makes it skip a beat or two anyway. So I would be, I'd be a little fearful and maybe not as calm as Corey. I'd be really asking for a way out and maybe being more vocal in that sense.
So your sense, rather than taking it into yourself to go find a way out of here and moving around the environment with the intent of escaping, and maybe getting a little secretive about it because you're not sure people are gonna, if they're part of wrong and part of the trap or not. Your assumption is these people, if they did it, it was a mistake. And they should, when you talk to them, if you can get them to pay attention to you, they would let you out because clearly you don't belong here. And so you would try to talk your way out.
Correct.
How often would you approach people, do you think?
A lot.
A lot.
So a lot, putting it mildly. So do you think pretty much every time you had a thought, I need to get out of here, you would be asking people how to get out of there? Can you get me out of here?
Yes,
Yeah.
unless it was pretty clear somebody was.
Joanne's with you. You and Joanne are going to be together. If you can find each other, and then would you travel together? Would you be looking for other people who are also feeling trapped so that you would have somebody with you?
Sure. The more
Sure,
the
why not? The more the merrier. Yeah.
Okay, so we have this one group that are getting together. Now, when you get together, does that help you not need to be getting out? Or do you still want to get out, but now you've got other people who also want to get out? What do you think?
That's a good question. It might make me feel better about things to know I have now a buddy who's kind of feeling the same way I am.
Yeah, so they've got us in here, and this is ridiculous. I mean, I hate this. I don't know why people say we can't get out.
And it's not.
I mean, isn't that stupid? Oh, so, okay, so that would be something that might actually help you be okay being trapped because there's somebody else that's in here trapped with you. Whereas that wasn't working, give a crap. Corey doesn't really care who else is trapped in here. She'll maybe take them with her when she goes, but she's not seeking them out.
Right.
So, so All right, what else have we got? Who else has sort of a slightly different take on this? What do you think you would do if you felt trapped? What would you do, Karen?
I'd be waiting at the door for any possible chance of getting out.
Okay, so you're going to use the visual exit markers to help you be prepared. And you're going to be in you're pretty committed to, how you get out, you get out how people get in. And so you're going to be in a high alert right around that doorway because that's the weak spot. Whereas Corey's investigating lots of opportunities. She may actually be going in other people's rooms, checking out windows. She might be looking at door jambs. She might be seeing whether she could get a knife from dinner, that she could undo the side of the door so that she could get it off its hinges the opposite way. You're simply looking at where people come in and go out. And your sense is you're watching for somebody who makes a mistake, and it would only have to be a second. Do you think it was hard to get people, and they often were very careful, would you be willing, if you were feeling really trapped, to jerk or pull on someone to get them out of your way to get through that door?
Oh yeah, I would be willing. My physical nature would probably come out, I would guess.
Physical, and shove them out of the way or pull them and grab the door. And what would happen then if somebody tried to impede your travel through that doorway?
I'd travel right through them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to get really physical. If you got that close to an elopement or an escape and somebody tried to bring you back in any way, shape, or form, you're going to fight with them. There's not a doubt in your mind you would do that.
Not a doubt.
Yeah. Not a doubt. Now, interesting, Alejandro is a whole different kettle of fish. He's actually looking at checking out. So he's actually going to look like he's zoning. So Alejandro, so here's the curious part for you. When you are zoning, do you think you actually will just be less alert, less aroused, and just mostly, not be paying attention? Or are you playing possum, as they say? What do you think?
I think probably more playing possum and showing people that I'm not there, and trying to check out mentally if I can't get myself out physically.
Okay, so you're actually going to not be willing to participate. And so you're going to go be the one maybe more on an activity strike or a hunger strike or an engagement strike, where you won't have conversations with them. You won't talk to them. You won't come out of your room. You don't get out of bed. And that's your way of signaling, well, you may have me here, but you can't make me be with you. So yeah, that's a different.
I'm going to withhold. So the idea that Mary came up with of grabbing Joanne or grabbing whoever and asking other people, I'm not going to join that group of folks for sure.
Yeah, no, they're needy. And you want to show people that you don't need anybody. Fine. If you're going to keep me here and you're going to keep me in prison, then I'm not doing anything with you. That's your decision.
Those were Teepa's words, by the way, Mary Lee and Joanne. I didn't say
well, Teepa, one thing we probably all could do if we thought through it is we are real good at chit chat, and so whoever's family member is getting ready to leave, we can probably join them if we were, careful about our words.
Okay, and so my two social animals here are going to try to disguise themselves as more competent and slide out the door if people don't notice. And so they think they can disguise themselves. And so they are going to try to make their way out of this kind of situation. Anybody have a slightly different take on who they might try to get up with or how they might do it? Because there's one more group that you haven't thought of yet.
I would be different. I would probably withdraw. I'm not an aggressive person. And so if I felt like people were more powerful or there wasn't an easy way out, obvious, then I might be more likely to get more nervous and not as function as well. with other things and maybe withdraw and would get depressed.
Okay, so you're thinking you'd initially maybe do some pacing and some anxiety behavior, but you would cry, and if that didn't help, nobody was, and so you do that, and then you just give up, and you would start getting really depressed because there's no way out of this. I don't see a way out. And so you'd be a give up person, but not like Alejandro, where you're sort of like making them pay for this. This is just a sadness to a place where, Alejandro is withholding. He's actively going to withhold himself. You just give up. You don't know, because you went from anxiety and turn inward. So that's a little different. Rachel, what do you have?
It seems to me that I would probably, and I'm seeing this now in tendency of, I will try to be nice, and when that doesn't work, then I will try every option I have, and if that means I'm gonna make a break for it, then I'm gonna make a break for it, because you can't catch me. Or I will just retreat because I give up and this isn't working, and I've tried and I'm stuck here, and it's bad. I can't do anything.
Yeah. More hungry or less hungry?
Oh, it'll be less.
Less hungry. How about more thirsty or less thirsty?
Less. I'll just kind of give up.
And more mobile or less mobile as you give up?
Less. And I
All right. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to give you the one that nobody has picked yet, which is actually for many leaders or many people for whom they have been in charge of many things over their lifetime. This is ridiculous. What the hell? What is going on here? I want to talk to somebody who knows what they're doing. This is bullshit. Open that damn door. You open that door. You take, look at, I'll take you. You think I won't? You think I won't? Call the police. I want to talk to somebody who knows what the hell's going on here. Now, I might wear myself out, but as soon as I get a chance, where will I be again? I will do that until something happens, because what do leaders know? If you cause trouble, if you cause a lot of trouble, if all else fails, what will they do? What will they have to do?
Well, they'll medicate. They'll give you medication.
Well, but somebody's going to come in here. Somebody who knows what the hell is going on here is going to show up. If they have, I want to talk to somebody who knows what they're doing. And so classically, someone who's in that state, what they're trying to demonstrate is, I'm too much for you to handle. You're going to have to take this up a notch. You're going to have to get somebody else in here. I want to talk to somebody. So what I'm actually trying for is, I want you to get so frustrated with me and so distressed about me. I'm trying to elicit distress in you so that this is too much. I am causing way too much trouble. And so what you'll decide is, it's not worth it keeping me here. I need to be placed somewhere else. So what I'm actually doing is making myself so toxic that nobody wants me here.
Yep.
And that may, in fact, I'm not thinking of consequences. I'm just thinking, if I'm trapped, how do you get out of a trap? Well, you may have to gnaw your leg off, but it's better than being in the trap. So even if you say, Teepa, do you want to end up at psych again? What do you think I'm going to say to that? I mean, people ask quote unquote, stupid question. What a stupid question. Anything's better than being here. And so what I'll say is, yeah, I'd rather do that than this, even though when I get there, what do you think I'll do?
Same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. But what I'm trying to help people wrap their head around is, look at all the variations of behavior that we'll see. And all of them indicate the thinking part of my brain thinks it's thinking, but the only thinking part of my brain that's really working is the one that's designed to keep me alive and to try to keep me going. And so my brain is telling me to do that thing which I need to do to just survive until I give up. And when I give up, like Rachel, and I get to that place with Rachel, that Rachel gets to, then essentially I've given up living. in any appreciable way. And as a matter of fact, we're starting to see it in that my wake sleep, I'm sleeping all the time. Only I'm not really sleeping, I'm just drowsing. I'm not eating, I'm not drinking. I'm actually starting to have lots of problems with elimination because I'm dried out and I'm not putting out, and I'm not putting out feces or urine, and I don't even care if it does come out. So what? It doesn't matter. Nothing matters because I've given up living. And so those indicators that I'm not really caring anymore, if we look at the human being, there is no indication of self-care at all. So it doesn't matter if they're uncomfortable, and it doesn't matter if they're in pain, because it's too much pain. They've actually isolated their self from all this happening, and they're just waiting to die. So I'm gonna pause there. That be the case if I was the person living with dementia, if I was the primary care provider for which there is no relief. I'm it. I'm all there is, and I cannot. If I leave you alone, you don't have anybody. So I'm trapped in here with you. But I can't do this anymore. I don't like you anymore. I don't care about this anymore. But I'm simply here because I have to be, and I don't know how to get out of this situation. Or could it be that I'm the long distance care provider? I'm the one who's trying to do it, but I never bargained on this. I mean, even just managing finances or managing housing or because this is beyond where I ever planned to go, and I feel trapped. So think about that for a second. And do you think it would apply to all these scenarios and situations, or is there one that you think it doesn't really apply to?
So we got a chance to see how folks in different situations can react to feeling trapped or imprisoned, and got a really good glimpse into the things that they would be doing in those moments to show that they're feeling trapped or imprisoned, especially with those folks who really just stopped doing anything, stopped taking pills, stopped eating much, they wouldn't drink much. And so we got a good glimpse of this, how people will react in those moments. In the next chapter, we're going to look at why we might be seeing these responses when feeling trapped and imprisoned, and really delve into those unmet needs as well as some brain parts that show what's going on and could be heightening these senses of feeling trapped and imprisoned and creating these reactions that we see. So chapter 3, why we might be seeing these responses when somebody's feeling trapped or imprisoned, and looking at how the brain reacts to an unmet need or to stress or to feeling isolated or trapped or imprisoned. We get a good idea in this chapter of why we're seeing some of the reactions that we do. And we start to really delve into those pieces of unmet needs and how those play a huge role in figuring out exactly why that person might be feeling trapped or imprisoned, or how in those moments somebody could recognize what's going on through the emotional pieces that cover up those unmet needs.
So unfortunately, I think it probably applies to all of them. And the silence sort of says it all. I think, how we help varies by situation, but the reality is what we're dealing with is extreme distress. And what we have to keep in mind is we want to help in a way that matches the person who's indicating, I'm trapped. I feel so imprisoned. And we've got to pick up on where they are. So the first step is really looking at how we communicate, really looking at what the essentials are, what helps in a situation, what hurts, and what matters most for that human being. What is it that human being is really trying to communicate to us, and what are we doing that's supportive rather than trying to distract? Because one of our biggest mistakes at this point is to try to think that we can distract a brain that is committed to trying to get itself out, one way or the other, whatever it is, or the brain that's given up all hope. So if that's the case, here's where we need to back up to and ask the question of ourselves or the people that are involved in the situation. And so the question is whether it's a person living with dementia, a primary caregiver, or a person who's been placed in a role that they didn't choose for themselves. And the question for us is, have we been trying to get the person, whoever it is, to do something or accept something by pushing an agenda with them? Even though that wasn't our intent, we didn't mean to, we happen to be present in the space and in the place where they're indicating that somebody is trying to get me to do something or accept something. And what you're getting is huge resistance to that idea that I have to do this or I need to accept this. So first step, acknowledge somehow we've given the impression that somebody has to do something or accept something. And the reality is they don't have to. They can continue to do battle. Or what they do is if I can't accept it, then you can't make me do anything. Or I'm only going to do what I'm going to do, not what you want me to do. I'm not doing that. I'm doing what I'm doing. So the first thing to recognize is we got to stop doing what we're trying to do. And we've got to take a pause. And we need to, first of all, respond to the distress we're hearing or seeing or experiencing. So we can't do anything else. We've just got to respond to that distress. And only then, when we respond to their distress, can we actually form a relationship that's going to actually allow us to be with them. And once we're with them and they allow us to be with them, they let us into a relationship, then what we are is a team. And we're a team, and that's when we take a look around to see where we are. Now, I'll pause there, because what I want us to look at is, given everybody on this call and everybody who's described situations, who's going to be the easiest, the absolute easiest, no doubt in the world, for us to provide support and help for? Who's going to be our quick fix, our easy fix?
Probably Mary and I.
You and Mary, absolutely, no doubt about it. Because what are you already evidencing?
Well, we're seeking partnership and to be together, so we have a team.
Correct. You're already looking for a relationship with another human being. You want a relationship, and the relationship you want is mutual. You want a mutual relationship. All you're seeking is someone else who could help you out, makes you feel okay. You're that kind of person that it'll just take a little bit of tweaking, and you guys won't feel nearly as trapped anymore. And we can figure out things to do, because for you, it is not the space or the situation, it's the lack of relationship that trapped you. So as soon as we can figure out how to help you feel like there's a relationship for you, that's the thing that you need to not be trapped. As soon as you build a relationship, that's all you needed. You just need to have somebody see your perspective, your point of view, and agree with you that that isn't okay. I'm so sorry that's happening. Well, we got to see if we can't do something about that. That's not all right.
Right.
Yeah. So, hey,
Well,
Joe.
then we're being heard, right? So it makes us feel like you're listening to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Make cookies too.
Yep.
Yeah. Cookies.
Right. It might result in some cookies, but I might help you. You might have to help me make them. I mean, because, they put the stuff here, but nobody's coming to help us out.
Okay.
So now who, however, has to be willing to be in this relationship hour after hour after hour?
The care partner.
The care partner, staff.
So this is where people will be fine to start it off. But the problem is, because you guys, either one of you or in combination, you guys are going to need constantly reinforced about a relationship. Ooh, yes, we have a relationship. Yes, we have a relationship. Yes, we have a relationship. So you guys are going to seek almost all the time, because of the space and the place we're in. You've lost your old relationships, and so you're in constant seek mode. And I mean constant. and we can maybe get you okay for a little bit, but then we have to spend time with you again. And we use that word have to, because my need for that relationship isn't anywhere near where yours is. And so what's happening now is I feel trapped in this relationship. So this is the place where these are not hard people to deal with, but what I need to, excuse me, I'm going to do Mary, I'm going to work with Mary and Joanne for about an hour. And then what I'm really going to ask for is help, because I will be able to do it an hour. And then I need to know who's going to spot me for at least a half an hour so I can get a breather. Because if I don't do that, I will start to be less effective in my role. So what's my advantage if I know this about them? And this is probably where most people make their mistake, is thinking, oh, Joanne and Mary will be easy. They're so easy to redirect. And they don't, I mean, they're not that bad. Yes, they complain about it, but once you get them going, they're okay. And so I trick myself into thinking this is easy. And my problem is, without realizing it, I just got in the spider's web. Mm-hmm. And so what I want before I get in there is to say, okay, I'll be able to do it for an hour. Who can take, and I call it the green card. You know, in sports, we sometimes need a green card. Here's my green card. I'll do the green card for an hour. Who's going to take the green card next? Because I have to have somebody to pass to. If I don't have somebody who can take on this relationship, what will I start feeling very quickly?
Overwhelmed.
Trapped. Yeah. I will start feeling trapped because you guys are constant. And this is where people forget that this is a pattern. And I can engage you briefly in other things, but you're still looking for what it is you don't have. And so that's where I think mostly caregivers get frustrated with the people who, and we say, well, she's not that hard to work with. I don't know why people are so bent out of shape. It's like, because there's no break. We haven't built a break in. I didn't realize I needed one until I started doing this. And now I don't like either of you anymore. I mean, they never shut up. I mean, even when I get them a table and even when we sit down for a few minutes, there we go again. I got up, I wasn't gone but 5 minutes, and here they both come again. Because our sense is they'll form this and be able to sustain this relationship, and they can't. So that's the tricky one for them. They are the easiest fix. So what do you think the easy fix is? Who would you start with of the two of them? Because these folks will, when they're seeking partners, they'll often find each other, and then they'll both roam together. So who would you try? Which one would you try and why? Who's on the call that's thinking, which one of them would you go with first?
Nobody.
Yeah.
I know Mary better than I know Joanne, so I might start with Joanne or Mary first.
Because you know that Joanne will come along.
Yeah, that she'll come
with
along.
Mary.
That's
okay. So when we say you know Mary best, what kind of things comfort Mary? What story about Mary do you know, or what background about Mary, or things that would attract Mary and bring her toward you? What would you know about her that you can use to help her and Joanne?
I would use dogs. They're talking about dogs or something, bringing some pet or animal in.
Okay, so because you don't know Joanne, would you start with dogs or you would start with pets?
Maybe pets.
Pets. That would be a good decision because Joanne is a cat girl.
Yeah.
And so what you're proposing is you would try to find something that you could have her find comfort with.
Right.
So you're looking for comfort seeking. Mm-hmm. And then what are you going to do with the pets idea? Because that's a good initial thing. What are you going to do with it?
I would introduce the pets to them and then maybe ask her to help me.
Well, they're not allowed to have animals here.
Okay. I'm not sure.
Oh,
I'm already
frozen.
stuck.
Okay, so Mary, have you ever, now I know you're ready to get out of here. Now, do you walk your dog or do you do something else?
I walk my dog.
Oh, you walk your dog. And Joanne, you do or you don't? You have dogs or cats, Joanne? Oops, I think we lost Joanne there for a bit. She was having internet problems earlier.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is, so let me ask you, I'm going to show you some pictures. Tell me which dog most closely resembles yours. So then I could show you some pictures of dogs. How many different things am I going to have to engage you guys?
2 or 3, maybe.
Oh,
At least for 5 minutes.
okay. So why did Mary say only 2 to 3? Because she's easy to get along with. How many will I need to not lose my mind? I mean, this is, again, what keeps happening is we keep thinking, well, they'll be easy. And it's like, then you better prepare really well because it won't be easy. You can't get your brain to do something over and over and over and over and over and over and not feel trapped. So it's critical when we're working with these folks that we have a long game plan and we have maybe even a list of 10 or 15 different things that we can try, not because they're going to be that difficult, but frankly, we can't keep doing it over and over and not get to a place where if she asks me one more time, if she says one more time, I can't do this again because my brain is not as damaged as their brain. And I need variation. I need something different. And if I don't give myself what I need, I can't give them what they need. And so this is where more support for care providers, more support for the person who doesn't realize how close to being trapped they're feeling because the window is shutting, the door is slamming shut, and they will start to get resentful. And it usually is change of tone of voice or facial expression or eye rolls or those kind of things. And then the ladies are going to feel like, well, what did I do wrong? Well, now I don't want to be here. Now I need you to call somebody. Please just call. And they're more likely to sound sad and distressed than they are to be angry and distressed. So let's go back now and let's look at the people who are not these two people, because these are your easy fixes. Our challenge is when we have people who are not, quote unquote, the easy fix. So I just want to check in. What's the takeaway message when you have somebody who really is, because they're already trying to form relationships? What's the takeaway message of our behavior that gets us in trouble if we don't pay attention to it?
Know them very well.
Know them well.
Know something about them and be a little prepared.
Be prepared. And what do you,
that they might like.
Those are all good things. What are a couple other things that are vital to working with them? Mary?
Someone that you can pass the green card to.
You have to have a partner to pass to. You've got to figure out how to pass that off a little bit, because without doing that, you won't like them in a very short window of time. I mean, we could be talking within a day or within a week or within a month or within a year. You don't like them anymore. Because everybody's tolerance is different, but I've got to get breaks for me, even though initially I don't think I need it because they aren't that hard. Building in breaks makes all the difference in the world. But what it means is I have to have somebody else step in. And if I can't, I better have a bunch of different activities that allow me in different ways of engaging, that allow me to hear and see them differently, or I will feel trapped by them. So rather than just learning 1 or 2 things about them, I better find out about 30 or 40 things about them so that I can call on different aspects and do different kinds of things with them. Otherwise, it gets to be a one note. And if there's no one else, I better find different ways to be with them. And then the one that nobody wants to hear, take your hands and do this. Do this. We absolutely need to leave this place and go to another place at least once a day and then come back. We must change locations at least once a day. If you do not, your brain says, I'm logically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually trapped. And the hippocampus can reset and save you if you simply go to a different space. And if there's a secured versus unsecured, you have to be able to get to unsecured so you know there's a way out. And it turns out for human beings, being in the out of doors at least once a day heals the brain in a way that causes you to feel less constrained, contained, and restricted. And the more you can see of sky and movement and plants moving and things moving around, the more you feel released. And so when we're working with people like Mary and with Joanne, it's easy to think, I got it. I got it. They don't need to, I don't need to go. They don't need to go. The reality is we all need to go. And so we want to take them places more in the morning than in the afternoon and then bring them back. But we need it as much as they do. Because it's by going and coming back that we reset our brains and we can see this as a fresh event. And I'm clearly in the same situation I was in, but it feels different because I've had a different experience since the last time. And it's giving your brain permission to take a break, even if you can't get one, as in switch places with me. There's no one to give the green card to. Then I must get to a different space. I must have a different location. And so do they. And the more we can build that into our day, the better. And so sometimes a very simple solution is a van ride, a car ride, going out, just looking around. Having a couple targets makes it helpful because when you have a target, it tells your hippocampus to learn and remember, to visually regard, to take in that data. So I'm looking for a great big sign and it advertises milkshakes. Keep your eyes open and see if you can't find a sign like a billboard that advertises milkshakes. Do you see anything on that one? How about this one? And so what I'm actually doing is getting you to look out, be attentive, and giving me the break I need because you're busy looking for things. And when you're looking for things, I'm getting my break. So if I can't pass the green card, I've got to figure out how to create my own green card in those situations. And I'm the greatest risky one because I'll miss that I'm in distress until I am. And I actually do something really mean like, Mary Lee, did I ask you to sit down for 5 minutes? I need you to sit down. I told you I would be right back. I'm fixing drinks for people, okay? I need you to sit down. Can you sit down? Mary, look at me.
Okay.
Can you sit?
Okay.
Will you sit?
If you insist, yes. For
All
me.
right, I will be right back. Wait for me.
But I'm thirsty too.
Oh my God. Mary, I told you what I'm doing. What am I doing? And so I'm arguing just because I'm tired.
Yeah.
And so that's why all this stuff is so necessary.
So we had a really great overview of the amygdala and those responses from the amygdala from someone even in a normal brain state versus somebody who's living with brain change, and what's happening in there that's bringing on those threat perceivers and causing us to then react the way that we do because of how it affects the rest of our body. And we got a chance to go through those unmet needs that are masked a lot of times by those emotions, and that anger piece being one of the first pieces that we see from somebody when a need is not being met. And how important it is for us to recognize those pieces, because that's what can help lead us to what's underneath, which is those unmet needs in those moments. So it can help us find out what we're going to cover in our next chapter, which is how can we support those who are feeling trapped or imprisoned? So now we're on to our final chapter, chapter 4. How can we support those who feel trapped and imprisoned? We've had a great overview of how somebody, or who is that person that could be feeling trapped or imprisoned in these situations, how they could react, what's happening inside, especially in their brain, and the unmet needs that are happening in those emotions that cover up those unmet needs. Now we're going to figure out, what do we do with all of this information? How can we go to each one of these folks who have expressed different ways of how they would react and start meeting that unmet need, so that hopefully we start coming out of that feeling of being trapped or imprisoned and feel included, feel like there's still something valuable that they can do, and ways they can interact in their environment that they still have control over.
So if he feels trapped, we want to get him before he gets to that place. So what are some things you guys are thinking about Alejandro now that you've sort of explored what do we know about him? Because he's going to need a different approach. He is somebody who hides. He's more of a hider, but he's actively hiding. Whereas Rachel was talking about giving up, Alejandro is hiding, and he knows he's hiding. So what would we do with him to build a relationship? Does he want somebody who's got energy and is coming in with energy?
No, I think he's more of an introvert and needs something that would be focused just with him. He doesn't want to join a big group. So I think you'd have to know a lot about him, his history, what he likes, that kind of thing. You know, sort of get him interested so that we don't lose him completely, you know.
Yeah. So do you think he's hiding? Does he want to, I mean, he doesn't actively want to build a relationship. So what has he got to see in us to make him want to be with us? So does he want us coming more into his space and being very present in his space? Do you think?
I would actually appreciate if you were there for a little bit and then left me alone with something.
So how about coming in? Do you think coming in, I need to be a little, Alejandro, this whole thing is crap. You got here, I got here. Neither of us wants to be here. This is not okay. Would that have appeal to you or not?
I mean, it'd have some appeal, yeah, as long as you don't stick around too much, and maybe it's more frequent, short bursts, probably, to let me know.
Okay, so because of the way Alejandro's hiding, I'm going to show you my hand. Go ahead and pull your hand up. You want to think about 5-minute sessions with Alejandro. 5 minutes is a good amount of time to establish a relationship with somebody like Alejandro, because if you try to stay longer than that, it's sort of like you're seeking too much and he's going to hide harder. So we want to be present. And at first, we just want to come alongside him and let him know that it looks like this is not where you want to be. And none of this is working the way you want it to. And you just wish you were somewhere else other than here. Man, I don't blame you. There are times when this place just truly is too much. Hey, listen, man, I have a question for you. If I could get you something like either a deck of cards, or I could get you, just maybe, man, I'm trying to think, something that you could look at, something you could take a look at. Would either of those things, I mean, at least there's something while you're in here, so you can be on your own, but, make cards or something else. What do you think?
Yeah, like something to look at, probably. I don't like the cards too much, but
Okay.
magazine.
Yeah, a magazine or something. Yeah, so magazine. Ooh, a magazine outdoor or something else?
That'd be okay, unless you got something with like some computers or
Oh,
stuff
computers.
like that. Yeah.
Oh, you know, I heard something. They were talking about salsa.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I didn't know you guys had those magazines here.
Well, we can get them. I mean, I could get you something, I think, maybe.
Yeah, well that'd be all right, I guess. That'd be okay with me.
Okay. All right. Well, tell you what, let me work on that, okay?
That sounds good. Yeah, I mean that's if you can do that, that's
Thank you, man. Oh yeah. No, I'll see what I can do. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna do the best I can though, because I mean, you're a good guy. Thanks for talking to me, man. So what do you notice about my posture?
You're not looking at him.
I'm not looking at him. And I curled up and I curled down and I kept my hands in the space in the middle. So what I'm doing is, it's called parallel. I'm paralleling him and I'm not trying to get in too much other than, ugh, this is not good kind of thing. And my affect and my face and a lot of things are in agreement. This isn't good. None of this is good. You know, if I got you something, so what am I becoming? What's our relationship? I'm the giver of stuff. I'm not trying to have a relationship because what he's doing is hiding. And so the best I can hope for is if I find him some stuff that he likes, he'll do things with the stuff. Because he's not willing to enter a relationship yet until there's a greater level of trust. And it will be a one-on-one. Am I going to try to get him out of that space or let him stay in the cave he's created? Because his safety is in the cave. It's his room, it's his bed, it's his chair, it's his stuff. So even though in some ways that should make some people feel more trapped, for Alejandro, that's the part that's not as uncomfortable. That's okay. It's the fact that he can't leave here. And leave here means goes where he wants to, and he can't. So what I'm going to do is bring him things into his cave that he can control. So he gets to control some things in his cave. And then I'll give him space to be in his cave. And then next time I come, I might say, hey, Alejandro, I know you don't do cards. Could you help me out just for a minute or two? And then if you don't want to, that's okay. But if you could just give me a hand for just a couple minutes.
Yeah, if it's quick, I mean, that's okay.
Yeah, I just need to get these sorted, the red ones from the black ones, because I'm going to do them with some folks later on, and I just need to get them into categories. Could you do some of them for me?
Yeah. Yeah, that
Thank you,
sounds
man.
terrible, though, what you're going to do.
Yeah, well, they wanted to do a card game, and they're supposed to. They said they need them by suits, and I'm not as good at this as some people are. So I just said, okay, well, tell me what you mean suits.
Right. Yeah, well, I can help you with that. I don't
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, you know about suits? Oh, see, I'm not good at that. So it's more than just red and black?
Yeah, well, there's two of them that are black and stuff, so you got to do those, and they're different.
Oh. Okay, so there's more to it than just the two colors. So you have to do it in addition to that, some other things. So is it like, oh, okay, I see what you mean. So that's like, what are those guys called? The ones that look like a shovel thing? Or a upside down heart, I guess.
The spades, though, spades.
Oh, those are spades. Okay, and the other clovers?
Yeah, right. Like the leprechaun, but they're black on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right, so you've got the clovers and you've got the spades. Okay, and then the red one. So all of a sudden, what are we starting to do? Is he trapped?
No, you're building a different relationship.
And this is, who's the one who's in charge now? Who knows more than me?
He does.
Yeah. So is he as trapped as he was before?
No.
And what does he stop doing? Is he hiding himself?
No, he's coming out a little bit.
Oh. So this is a guy who was hiding because he was afraid. Part of why people hide is because they're afraid they're incompetent. And what I had to do is demonstrate, because what else is trapping people other than the location they're in? That'd be their dementia. And so what I found a way to do is release him from 2 prisons. The one where he's in a space that he can't get out of because he's making the choice to come in and out of that space. And I'm not attacking. It's just I'm available and I could use his help. So he has lots of places and points of control. And because he has those spaces and points of control, his sense of being distressed is way diminished. And so he's starting to build a relationship. Is he ever going to be the guy that comes to everything? Is he going to be the guy who spends a lot of time out of his room? Is it going to be the guy who enjoys all kinds of events? No, but I might get him to help me with picking salsa music. I might get him, and he might even surprise me and be the one who's willing to show us some salsa steps.
Yeah, but it's all about help. If it wasn't a help and you brought those cards in, I'm not interested in that, but I can help do whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so for somebody like Alejandro, and that is actually very common for many people who are hiding, and they're hiding from both their dementia as much as they are from other people. The reason they're hiding is their brain is playing tricks on them, and they don't know whether or not they can trust their own brain. So I have to show them evidence repeatedly that they're still good at something, and they still have something to offer that's legit. And it has to be in short doses so that indeed their brain can do it for that long. If I stay and overstay my welcome, then they'll start to feel incompetent again. So it's got to be very short windows, but with greater frequency, because the more frequent we have these 5 minutes, the more memories of something positive and energizing there is. And so then rather than trying to take something that numbs, he has a reason to be non-numb, because there's opportunities that come up. Now, as I build a relationship with him, I may say, Alejandro, I have a huge favor to ask. I have one other person who needs help as well. Would you at least say hey to her? Because there are going to be times when she needs help and I may not be around, and I wanted you to at least meet her.
Yeah. Do you know her? You know this lady?
I do. And she's pretty decent. I mean, she's different than me, but I mean, she's not hard to work with, but she is somebody who really, does music, and I am not as good as her at music. Mm-hmm. But she's trying to come up with a program of music for 2 people that we have in the building who are Latino.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And neither of us know that music.
Yeah, well, you guys won't be able to do that on your own, so.
No, definitely not. And that's why I thought of you. I have several songs, and I wanted you to know, but she's better. I had several, but she's actually better at this than me because she knows how to get the player to go. Would you help her a little bit?
Yeah, I can do probably the player too if she needs some help with
Cool. It. Oh, wow. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what happened to Alejandro's trapped? And what am I building for myself? A partnership. Because if I'm not there, what does Alejandro get then that day? Do this big fat 0. Because he'll only let me in. And I've got to figure out how to squeak that door open a little bit. But what I'm going to do is each person I introduce has a specialty. And that's their thing with Alejandro, because Alejandro likes having relationships that are unique and special. So for every person I introduce, I've got to figure out what's the thing between the 2 of them. What's the thing between the 2 of them? What's the thing? Because there's got to be a thing. And with Alejandro, he's going to like it better if it's a unique thing for each of you. So somebody, it might be sports. It might be, helping them with a sport. For some, it might be this. So whatever it is, we've got to look at different aspects of that person and figure out how can they have a relationship out that's 5 minutes long with a variety of people in different ways. And all of a sudden, Alejandro's world just got great big again, and he's not trapped. But if we were looking at his calendar, it would look like minutes of time with hours of little happening. But That's how we have to start. Because if I try to do too much for too long, he's going back into possum mode because he gets overwhelmed. And that's when possums do that, is when they feel overwhelmed and all they do is ball up and want things to go away. And that's when they get run over by cars. And so we don't want that happening. And so we've got to create these safe little areas where he can come out and be safe and then go back in his safe space. Does that seem legit, Alejandro?
Oh, yeah, that's.
You have your own safe space there. He has somebody in his cave with him, which is making it interesting. She's small and very demanding. It's a good thing he has the ability to turn sound off and on.
Yeah, and she's quick.
Uh-huh. And she's very good with her hands now, isn't she?
Skill fingers are working.
Yeah. Yep. That's when they get like that. That's when you feel trapped, sure enough. If you want to try to do anything near a computer or near a table or near any kind of supplies whatsoever, yes. Feels like you have to have eagle eyes.
So we got a great chance to look at ways that we can approach these folks in these situations, whether it's finding a way to bring in a support partner for the care partner, because if they end up being the only one who can take care of that person, then they're going to be trapped in that relationship. And how bringing in somebody who can also do the same things they're doing with those folks over and over and over again, so they can give each other a break, and how important that is. While at the same time giving those folks who need that attention over and over and over again, so they don't get to that point of feeling trapped. Thank you very much for watching this series over how to help support somebody who's feeling trapped or imprisoned. I hope this helps you in your endeavors when it comes to helping all those folks who we care for.